The magnificent coastal waters of British Columbia are home to an abundance of incredible marine wildlife, including humpback whales, stellar sea lions, orcas, porpoises, and harbor seals. The BC coast is also home to one of the most iconic, recognizable, and lovable aquatic mammals, the sea otter. With its long whiskers and grizzled facial fur, these endearing animals have fittingly earned the nickname the Old Man of the Sea. But despite their cute appearance and engaging antics, sea otters have actually endured a long, dark history in North America, once pushed to the very brink of extinction. My name is Johnny Marriott, and this episode, we're exposing you to one of Canada's greatest environmental success stories, the miraculous recovery of the once extirpated sea otter on the BC coast. Sea otters are unique in that they're the smallest member of the marine mammal family, yet also the largest member of the weasel family. Found around sheltered islands, reefs, fjords, and bays, sea otters eat a wide variety of seafood, including clams, mussels, crabs, and sea urchins. It's not uncommon for sea otters to float around in the water on their back with their food on their belly like a picnic spread on a table. And remarkably, they're one of the only animals in the world to use tools like we do, using rocks and other objects to crack open their hard-shelled food to get at the yummy stuff inside. Sea otters require a ton of food to stay warm in the cold coastal Pacific waters and eat up to 30% of their body weight every single day. Unlike other marine mammals, they don't actually have a lot of body fat to insulate themselves, which is why they have one of the thickest fur coats in the animal kingdom, made up of two types of hair: long, sparse guard hairs, and then feathery, soft, super dense, warm underfur. Unfortunately, it's these beautiful, luxurious coats that are the very reason sea otters once vanished from British Columbia and Canada altogether. Before the fur trade began in the early 1800s, the world's sea otter population was estimated at between 150,000 and 300,000 animals. But by the early 1900s, just over a century later, the population had been totally decimated by our insatiable appetite for their fur, and less than 2,000 animals remained. Eventually, the sea otter disappeared from the BC coast completely, the last otter shot and killed off Vancouver Island in 1929. The long road to recovery for our sea otters began with the combined efforts of our federal, state, and provincial governments in both Canada and the United States. Between 1969 and 1972, 89 sea otters from Alaska were released in Checklasset Bay off the west coast of Vancouver Island. Amazingly, this reintroduced population prospered almost immediately in the superb coastal habitat, and by 1996 had doubled more than 4 times to over 1,500 otters. The stunning initial success of the reintroduction led the federal government to downgrade the sea otter's status as a species at risk from endangered to threatened. By 2004, the population had expanded even more dramatically, with sea otters found as far south as Vargas Island and Clayoquot Sound, as far north as the northern tip of Vancouver Island at Cape Scott, and as far east as Hope Island in Queen Charlotte Strait. Today, sea otters have expanded even further afield in British Columbia, and their status has been downgraded from a threatened species to one of special concern. Their continued recovery and expansion on the west coast is now considered to be one of the most successful mammal reintroductions in Canadian history. But this astonishing success story doesn't end there. Sea otters are known as a keystone species, meaning that even a small number of them can have a dramatic effect on shaping healthy ecosystems. If we look back at when sea otters were eradicated, rocks and reefs quickly became overrun with dense populations of sea urchins, and these sea urchins in turn wiped out the kelp forests that are so critical to our ocean's health, essentially removing these rainforests of the sea, so called because of the kelp forest's ability to provide food, shelter, oxygen, and a nursery environment for a wide variety of sea life. So with sea otters reintroduced and reoccupying their former habitat and resuming their crucial role in the ecology of BC's coastal ecosystems, the environmental spin-off has been remarkable. The out-of-control sea urchin populations have been brought back under control, and the kelp forests have returned and flourished, completely reshaping our coast in a wonderful way. Despite the success of their reintroduction, sea otters continue to face a number of threats. The most serious is from environmental contaminants like oil spills. Oil spills are catastrophic for sea otters. Their fur loses its buoyancy and its insulating capabilities, and the otters end up dying of exposure. Those otters that do survive initially end up inhaling and ingesting oil when they groom their oil-slicked fur, causing even more deaths. Not surprisingly, the sea otter populations took almost 3 decades to recover from the Exxon Valdez spill off the coast of Alaska. For these reasons, it's critical that we continue to protect sea otter habitat and continue to monitor and reduce the risk of oil spills along the BC coast. Thanks for watching, everyone. We really appreciate the support. Please let us know what you thought about the episode in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and click that little notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.